Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really cool topic, the general characteristics of living organisms. We're basically going to figure out the secret code that separates living things from non-living things. Let's jump right in.
So, to get our brains warmed up, let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever really thought about what makes a butterfly so different from, say, a plain old stone you'd find on the ground? Exactly. I mean, they're both here, right? They both exist. But only the butterfly is what we call a living organism, and hey, that's because living things do all these special jobs to stay alive, jobs that a stone just can't do. So today we're going to uncover exactly what those jobs are.
These special jobs are officially called vital processes. You can think of them as the secret code of life. And here are a few of them on this list. Things like nutrition, respiration, and transport. We're going to explore this secret code together, starting with one of the most important ones. First up on our list, let's talk about food. How living things eat is our first and maybe the biggest clue to understanding what it means to be alive.
This whole process has a name, nutrition or atagvia. And really, it's just the way a living thing gets food to get energy. Because everything that's alive, you, me, plants, animals, we all need energy to grow, to move, and just to live.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. There are two main ways for living things to get nutrition. Some organisms are called autotrophs. These guys are like little chefs. They actually make their own food. That's why we also call them producers. Then you have heterotrophs. They get their food by eating other living things, so we call them consumers. And this picture shows that difference perfectly. You see plants and green algae? They're autotrophic. They're the producers, making their own food from scratch. But humans, animals, even some kinds of bacteria, well, we're heterotrophic. We're the consumers who need to eat to get our energy.
Okay, so we know how living things get their food. But now what? How do they turn that food into energy that they can actually use to do stuff? Let's find out.
For plants, the secret is an amazing process called photosynthesis, or al-bina al-dawi. This is the incredible way that green plants use the power of sunlight to cook up their own food. It's pretty magical, really.
Let's break it down real simple. First, the plant's roots soak up water from the ground. Second, its leaves breathe in a gas from the air called carbon dioxide. Third, that green stuff in the leaves, called chlorophyll, grabs onto energy from the sunlight. And finally, boom, the plant uses all that to make glucose, which is a kind of sugar, and oxygen gas.
So the big takeaway here is that through photosynthesis, plants create two super important things: glucose, which is their food, and oxygen, which is the gas that we and other animals need to breathe. How amazing is that?
Okay, but there's another process that's just as important for both plants and animals. It's called cellular respiration, or التنفس الخلوي. This is how our cells and plant cells take that glucose food and break it down to release energy.
And I love this table because it shows how these two processes, photosynthesis and cellular respiration, are basically opposites that work together like a perfect team. Photosynthesis uses carbon dioxide and light to make food and oxygen. Then, cellular respiration uses that food and oxygen to release energy, carbon dioxide and water. So, plants give us oxygen and we give them carbon dioxide. It's a perfect cycle.
Great! So now we get how living things make and use energy. Let's quickly check out a couple more vital processes that prove something is alive. First up is transport. Think about it. Cities have roads to move cars and supplies around, while living things have their own delivery systems to move important stuff like food and oxygen. For us, it's our circulatory system, our heart and blood vessels. And guess what? Plants have a transport system too, to get water all the way from their roots to their leaves. And of course, a really obvious sign of life is movement. Animals run, they fly, they swim. Even tiny little organisms we can't even see are wiggling around. And you know what? Plants move too. It's just very, very slow, like how a sunflower turns its head to follow the sun all day long. You're doing an awesome job. You've learned so much already. So, are you ready to see what you know? Let's try a couple of quick questions to check your understanding. Okay, here's the first question. Let's say X are autotrophs and Y are heterotrophs. Which of these options could possibly be correct? Take a second to think it over. The correct answer is A. Now I know this one was a little tricky.
Green algae is definitely an autotroph because it does photosynthesis. But some types of algae can also be heterotrophic, which makes this the best answer. Great job for thinking that one through.
All right, ready for another one? Which of these shows what goes into photosynthesis and what comes out of it? Read the choices carefully. You've got this.
And the correct answer is C. Yes, you nailed it. Plants take in carbon dioxide and water, and they produce glucose for food and the oxygen we all breathe. You're doing an amazing job.
Fantastic work on those questions. You really know your stuff. So before we go, let's just do a super quick review of the main ideas we talked about today.
So let's look at our secret code of life one last time. We learned that living things do special jobs called vital processes. We know they get energy in one of two ways. Either they make their own food, those are the autotrophs, or they eat food, and those are the heterotrophs. We also saw that plants use that incredible process, photosynthesis, to make food. And finally, most living things use respiration to unlock the energy from that food. You did such an amazing job today. Seriously, you should be really proud. You now understand the basic characteristics of all living things. So keep being curious, keep asking questions, because learning really is a lot of fun. See you next time.